Okay, so you know about that Ukraine aid Congress and Biden are so proud of? About $45 billion in new Ukraine aid tucked into this omnibus spending bill, they say. But where is it really going? Well, to their entrepreneur and investor friends over at gun companies like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. And really, are we even wondering why war stocks in the stock market are surging right now as the Russia-Ukraine conflict rages on? Yeah, defense stocks are beating the S&P 500 this year amid the Ukraine war. Now, why don't we meet the Congress members trading defense stocks while shaping military policy? Now, let's just think about this for a second. If congressmen and women who own stocks that are tied to supplying militaries with war equipment, guns, tanks, grenades, etc., isn't there an incentive to keep the war going? I'm just saying, I'm just asking. Every day I understand more and more why my dad was so pissed and disgusted with our American military and the politics when I was a kid. But what about you guys? Tell me how you feel about Congress and their military industrial complex backers. Drop a quick comment down below. Also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below. Only takes a couple minutes. Now, here's a part of the latest handout that Biden sent to Ukraine. An aid package that was mostly weapons and guns.
The largest assistance package yet from the U.S. to aid Ukraine in its war with Russia. The $3 billion in direct aid to Ukraine includes 50 Bradley fighting vehicles. It's the first time the armored carrier will be sent to Ukraine. The package also includes nearly 300 other armored vehicles, as well as air defense systems and anti-tank rockets. It comes as Vladimir Putin has called for a ceasefire for Orthodox Christmas. The Russian president attended a Christmas service alone in a Kremlin chapel today.
And they didn't stop there, guys. The recent omnibus spending bill that just passed Congress, it included, get this, about $45 billion in new Ukraine aid. Not money for stimulus checks for the American people, not $45 billion allocated to increase the SNAP allotments for EBT, not even for Social Security, SSI, SSDI recipients to increase their monthly income in 2023. That is $8 billion more than what President Biden was reportedly asking for to finish out the year. Now, if it passes, that will mean that the U.S. assistance to the Ukraine in its war against Russia will top out at more than $100 billion for the year. Now, this includes humanitarian economic aid, as well as the steady flow of weapons into the country since Putin declared his special operation and invaded Ukraine in February. And just to give you guys an idea, Russia's projected defense budget for 2023 is $84 billion. Now, according to a summary of the Ukraine aid under the Defense Department, $9 billion will go to direct weapons and other military assistance for the Ukraine, and $11.8 billion will be going to replenish the United States military stocks that have been depleted ever since February due to transfers to Ukraine. It will also include nearly $7 billion for U.S. European command operations in support of the Ukraine, and $6 million for oversight. Meanwhile, more funds are being allocated under State Department and foreign operations, including increasing the president's authority to transfer defense equipment to the Ukraine to $14.5 billion and $560 million in State Department security assistance funding for the Ukraine and for other allies. Yeah, and it doesn't stop there, folks. And while Americans are still waiting on a miracle for things like stimulus checks, Social Security benefits, and SNAP EBT cards, this will be the fourth package Congress is sending over to the Ukraine. So just go ahead and kiss your American taxpayer dollars goodbye. The first was after the invasion in March for $13.6 billion. The second was $40 billion in May. And the third was $12.3 billion, which was attached to the continuing resolution in September to keep the current budget going. Now, altogether, the three packages total some $65 billion. Out of all of that, nearly $30 billion of that has been military aid, including direct, short, and long-term support to the Ukraine, U.S. military operations in the region, and general support that is tangibly related to Ukraine. Translation? All going to their buddies and gun companies like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. Now, I didn't mean to piss you guys off if you didn't know about this information. You know, there are people who actually believe that this is not a war between Russia and the United States. Even when Zelensky is being paraded in front of our eyes in Washington as a hero, being paid billions of dollars to fight this war. And mainstream media and other YouTube channels, they're turning a blind eye. saying, nah, we're just helping them out of the goodness of our own hearts. My mentor used to always tell me, follow the money. Follow the money trail. Now, it's okay if our money goes to all the military companies instead of fixing our own country, right? Thanks, media. Strong sarcasm on that one, of course. Now, if you want more proof, just look at how much war stocks are surging as this Russia-Ukraine conflict rages on. The CEOs and the investors, the entrepreneurs over at Lockheed Martin and Northrop, they're certainly celebrating as their stocks are up 20%. Analysts predict that shares of major U.S. aerospace and defense companies should continue to surge higher as global defense spending budgets increase in response to the conflict over in Eastern Europe. The iShares U.S. Aerospace and Defense ETF that puts together stocks from 33 different gun and defense companies has risen more than 5% since Russian troops invaded Ukraine on February 24th. Same thing if you look at individual defense stocks, especially American companies. Shares of Raytheon Technologies on the stock market, these shares of Raytheon Technology stocks are up nearly 8%. General Dynamics, 12%. Huntington Ingalls Industries, 14%. Lockheed Martin, 18%. And Northrop Grumman, 22%. Though the United States and other Western allies have stopped short of sending troops to Ukraine, they have been sending weapons made by the likes of Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, such as Javelin anti-tank missiles and Stinger anti-aircraft missiles. With NATO deploying more troops to member countries in Eastern Europe near Ukraine's border, the ongoing geopolitical tensions should boost defense stocks even more this year as global defense spending is set to increase. It's a whole war money machine that they're keeping going here, guys. I hope you understand what's happening here. Our Western allies are already planning defense budget increases, including Germany, which said that its defense budget would make up now 2% of its GDP from 1.5%. Japan also plans to increase its 2022 defense budget to more than 1% of GDP for the first time since the 1960s. The writing's on the wall, guys. And while we're worried about a recession and a huge stock market crash, experts are already saying that one good defense in this tough market may very well be, well, defense. Put together Russia's longer than expected war in the Ukraine and China's growing threats against Taiwan, and you have support for even more defense spending right here in the United States and Europe. And those threats won't disappear overnight. So defense contractors, they're probably going to be very busy while everybody else is facing layoffs, poverty, foreclosures, evictions, and even possibly starvation. The United States Army is close to announcing a contract with Raytheon to replenish its stock of Stinger missiles drawn down to supply Ukrainian defense forces. And the Biden administration has sent billions of dollars worth of weaponry to support Ukraine's defense forces, including helicopters, drones, artillery, and even tank-busting Javelin missiles, a joint venture of Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. A $40 billion package of additional Ukraine aid signed by the president includes funds to replenish the United States arms stockpiles. Then there's NATO spending. Germany's decision to send more than $100 billion to modernize its forces, its armed forces, could make other NATO allies follow along. Now, if this goes like how they say, every NATO member spending the recommended 2% of GDP on defense, it would translate to about $80 billion in incremental spending, or roughly a 7% increase to the NATO budget. President Joe Biden has already requested to boost the Defense Department's budget by roughly $30 billion in 2023. You know what the CFO at Lockheed Martin called that? Some upside potential. Oh yeah. This is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. Speaking recently at a Bank of America conference on May 19th, Lockheed Martin commented that the company is generally pleased with Biden's request, though once Congress has its say, both the authorizers and appropriators, that it probably can go up from here. I just want to say right here, right now, I am American, and really, I just want some peace. I would like my tax dollars to go toward education and building a better future, really helping out Americans who are down and out. Are y'all with me? Sadly, it doesn't seem like these politicians listen to the citizens anymore. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? You know who they listen to? Gun companies and investors. Just recently, news broke out that 97 members of Congress bought or sold stocks, bonds, or other financially related assets that intersected with their congressional work or reported similar transactions by their spouse or dependent child between 2019 and 2021. In those 3 years alone, they totaled more than 3,700 financial trades in these companies. Definitely a matter of conflict of interest, if you ask me. Defense policy in particular. At least 25 members sat on committees that shape national security policy, while at the same time, they're trading the financial assets in defense companies that would actually directly and financially benefit from the very decisions that these lawmakers are making. I don't know if I can break this down any simpler than this. And this is across political parties, guys. It's not just Democrats. It's not just Republicans. Maybe this is the one thing that Democrats and Republicans can actually agree on. The majority of these members sat on the House and the Senate Armed Services Committees, the committees that are responsible for the budget and the oversight of the Defense Department. The list includes the former chair of the Armed Services Committee, James Inhofe, who bought and sold shares of technology companies as they fought over a $10 billion cloud computing contract with the Pentagon, which eventually went to, drumroll please, Microsoft. Now, when the Pentagon later decided to cancel the contract, House Armed Services Committee member Representative Pat Fallon sold up to $250,000 worth of Microsoft stock 2 weeks before it was publicly announced. Is that considered insider trading? Fallon served on the subcommittee which oversaw the deal, though a spokesperson said at the time that he had absolutely no prior knowledge that the Pentagon intended to cancel the contract. Okay, that's kind of hard to believe. Either you're doing something shady or just plain incompetent at your job. It doesn't really inspire a whole lot of confidence in our lawmakers, does it? Either that, or you're just unbelievably lucky. And let's not leave out those Democrats, right? The committee also includes Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat of California, who reported more trades than any other member in Congress, though they were made by trusts in the name of his wife and young children. Yeah, these trades included all of the top 5 weapons contractors: Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, General Dynamics, and Northrop Grumman, which could conflict with his role as a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Just want to say, Khanna has been an opponent of overspending on the Pentagon, so there may not always be a straight line between stock ownership and votes on the budget. But really, if you look at the many other members who cash in on defense stocks while voting in favor of bigger defense spending, it's kind of hard to see things differently here. Now, hey, something to consider when you're looking at stocks for your own personal investment portfolio this year, guys. I'm just saying, look what these lawmakers are doing. Where are they putting their money? Where are they pulling their money from? What do you think? Hey, just be real here. I want you guys to reach your own definitions of financial freedom, your dream of financial freedom. So whatever news could mean some serious cash flow and passive income, I'm all over it and sharing it with the community here, guys. Let me know what you guys are interested in for the next one. And always make sure you're subscribed to the channel and make sure your notification bells turn on as well, all right? Yep, that sure was a lot of information dropping in our Ukraine aid update and daily news report. Details on the Ukraine aid that just passed Congress, where the money is really going, and the defense companies cashing in on all of the Congress handouts. Did y'all catch all that? Well, of course, you can always watch this video again just to be sure. We always have our playlist section, all your favorites: Social Security, rental assistance, passive income, student loan forgiveness, you name it. Definitely check those playlists out after this video, guys. But as always, appreciate you tuning in. And an even bigger thanks for lighting up that like button. I will see you on the next one. Y'all be safe.